Stop letting fear control you. Introduction. Liberating yourself from fear's grip. Fear, though often invisible, can be a formidable presence in our lives. It whispers doubts, stirs hesitation, and creates barriers that prevent us from fully engaging with our true selves and with the world around us. To live a life free from fear's control is not merely to feel courageous but to be liberated, to stand grounded, clear, and bold in the face of the unknown. True freedom from fear arises not by eliminating it but by transforming our relationship to it, understanding its deeper roots, and learning to walk forward even when its shadow looms nearby. In ancient wisdom traditions, fear was seen as a teacher, a force that, when understood, becomes a gateway to deeper awareness, resilience, and self-mastery. These traditions teach us that freedom from fear requires more than surface-level courage. It calls us to explore the depths of our own minds, to identify the subtle ways fear manifests in our actions, and to cultivate an empowered perspective that transforms fear into an ally rather than an obstacle. In this book, you will be invited on a journey of inner transformation, one that unearths and dissolves hidden fears through the lens of ancient esoteric wisdom. Each part of this journey is designed to guide you through a unique aspect of fear, from subtle, everyday fears that restrict us to the root anxieties that shape our thinking and choices. Through each chapter, you will encounter insights, reflections, and powerful perspectives to help you see yourself in a new light, embracing resilience and confidence with each step. As you read, approach this journey with an open heart and a curious mind, for each chapter reveals layers of fear that may be familiar yet hidden from our daily awareness. In the final stage, you will have the chance to integrate these teachings into a new vision of yourself, a self that moves forward not in spite of fear, but beyond it, with an unshakable sense of purpose, peace, and strength. Before we dive into this transformative audiobook, hit like and subscribe if you're ready to learn something truly powerful. Your support helps bring more audiobooks like this to the channel. Thanks for being with us. Part 1. Unmasking Everyday Fears and Mental Blocks. The journey to liberation begins with recognizing the everyday fears that subtly shape our lives. These are not always grand fears. They are the subtle hesitations, the quiet uncertainties that influence our choices and keep us in our comfort zones. Foundational fears, such as the fear of change or the fear of the unknown, create an invisible wall that restricts our movement and stifles our growth. They may be easy to overlook, yet these fears have a powerful impact, keeping us from exploring the full range of our potential. This part of the journey explores these subtle fears, inviting us to see where we may be holding back and to understand why these mental barriers arise. As we bring these hidden fears to light, we gain the clarity needed to begin releasing them, allowing us to cultivate a life of greater openness, flexibility, and courage. Chapter 1. The Pain of Avoidance and Inaction. Avoidance is a quiet companion, a silent force that often influences our choices without our conscious awareness. It whispers subtle justifications, encouraging us to delay, sidestep, or ignore tasks, decisions, or conversations that could bring discomfort. This avoidance may appear harmless, even protective, but it builds a cage of inaction, keeping us away from opportunities that lie just beyond our comfort zone. Through avoidance, we trade potential growth for immediate comfort, creating a cycle that can leave us feeling stagnant, stuck, or unfulfilled. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the entrance to a new path, a path that promises growth, new insights, and experiences. Yet as you take the first step, thoughts arise. What if I'm not ready? Or, maybe this isn't the right time. And so, instead of stepping forward, you find yourself waiting, hesitating, avoiding the unknown in favor of the familiar. This is the essence of avoidance, a reluctance to engage with the challenges that lead to expansion. This avoidance is often fed by an underlying fear of what might unfold if we take action. Whether it's the fear of making mistakes, the fear of the unknown, or even the fear of success, these anxieties create a psychological resistance that keeps us bound to the familiar. We convince ourselves that waiting is wiser, that certainty will eventually come, and that we can act when we feel ready. But readiness, in this context, is an illusion. There is rarely a moment when all fears have vanished, when conditions are perfect, and when the mind feels absolutely prepared. Avoidance is not a protector but a barrier, and each moment of hesitation becomes a missed opportunity, a path not taken. Consider the times in your life when you have avoided a decision, a conversation, or a challenge. How often has this avoidance led to a feeling of being stuck, a sense that life is passing by without change? These are not failures. They are reminders that fear, when left unchecked, quietly limits the scope of our lives. The ancient sages understood this well, teaching that each step of action, each choice to engage rather than withdraw, awakens new strengths within us. As we proceed, we will explore why these mental barriers arise, understanding their roots and beginning to dismantle the cycle of avoidance that keeps us from moving forward. For only by recognizing these subtle fears can we begin to walk the path of freedom and embrace the power that comes from taking conscious, courageous action. Chapter 2: The Roots of Avoidance and Mental Blockages. To truly free ourselves from avoidance, we must understand its roots, the deep-seated causes that lie beneath the surface. Avoidance is not born out of laziness or a lack of ambition. It is a natural response to the discomfort of uncertainty. It is the mind's way of maintaining a sense of control, a method of avoiding the perceived chaos that might emerge if we step into the unknown. Beneath avoidance often lies a hidden need for safety and predictability, a desire to shield ourselves from the unpredictable nature of change. Ancient teachings remind us that the mind clings to patterns, even those that limit us, for the known is familiar, and the familiar feels safe. In the Hermetic tradition, there is a concept known as self-imposed illusions, beliefs, fears, and perceptions that we create to shield ourselves from vulnerability. These illusions are the mind's attempt to create a reality that feels manageable and predictable. However, they also become cages, preventing us from moving freely toward our potential. Avoidance often arises when we face tasks, decisions, or conversations that require us to confront the unfamiliar or uncertain. Imagine a river that must flow, yet a dam has been built to control its course. The river's natural path is restricted, held back by the barrier, and over time, its force diminishes, its flow stilled. So, too, does avoidance act as a dam in our lives, controlling the natural course of our growth, keeping us within a confined space where we feel safe but stunted. Each moment of hesitation, each instance of inaction, strengthens the dam, making it harder to move forward with ease and flow. Avoidance is often intertwined with a fear of failure. Deep within, there may be a voice that whispers, "If you don't try, you won't fail," and so we retreat, allowing the mind to weave its illusions. This avoidance keeps us in a place where risks are minimal, where the unknown is kept at bay, and where the mind can maintain its sense of control. However, in doing so, we sacrifice growth, missing the opportunities that lie on the other side of action. This mental resistance is not just a fear of failure but a fear of uncertainty itself, a fear of what might emerge if we step into a realm where outcomes are unknown. Consider how often the desire for certainty has guided your choices. How many times have you waited for the right moment, for the perfect conditions, before taking a step forward? In the search for certainty, we can fall into a cycle of hesitation, always waiting, always delaying. This cycle creates mental blockages, patterns of resistance that convince us that safety lies in stasis rather than movement. The Rosicrucian teachings emphasize that true growth requires embracing the unknown, for it is within the unknown that transformation occurs. The mind, however, is conditioned to protect us from perceived threats, and so it builds walls, convincing us that safety lies in the familiar. These walls, however, are self-imposed, built not from truth but from fear. Each time we avoid a challenge, we reinforce these walls, making them seem more real, more formidable. Imagine the stories you have told yourself, the reasons given to avoid action. I'm not ready. I'll try when the timing is perfect. These are illusions, reflections of the mind's desire to control a reality that is inherently fluid and unpredictable. Life, by its nature, is a constant dance of change, a flow that cannot be fully controlled or contained. The ancient sages knew this, teaching that wisdom lies not in resistance but in movement, in flowing with the currents of life rather than holding ourselves back. To dissolve these mental blockages, we must recognize them as constructs of the mind, illusions that arise from our conditioned desire for control. By understanding that these barriers are self-imposed, we gain the power to release them, to step forward even when the path is uncertain. True freedom does not lie in controlling every outcome but in embracing the possibilities that emerge when we let go of the need for certainty. In the next chapter, we will explore how embracing the power of change can dissolve the limitations of avoidance, allowing us to approach life with an open heart and a flexible mind. For it is in flexibility, in the willingness to move beyond our comfort zones, that true freedom is found. Chapter 3. Embracing the power of change. Once we recognize avoidance as a response to the fear of the unknown, we come face to face with the opportunity to transform. The doorway to this transformation is found in embracing the power of change. Change, by its nature, is uncertain, often unsettling, and yet it is through change that life itself moves forward. When we approach change not as a threat but as a catalyst for growth, we begin to dissolve the walls of avoidance, stepping into a mindset that welcomes possibility rather than retreating from it. The ancient alchemists spoke of change as a powerful, sacred force. They understood that transformation occurs only when we allow the old forms within us to dissolve, making space for something new. In alchemy, there is a process called calcination, the burning away of impurities to reveal the pure essence within. This metaphor reminds us that change, even when it feels like loss or discomfort, is a purifying fire, one that reveals our true strength, clarity, and potential. When we embrace change, we become like the alchemist, releasing what no longer serves us and welcoming a new, clearer vision of ourselves and our lives. Imagine a river flowing freely through a vast landscape. Each twist, each turn, each encounter with rocks and rapids shapes its course, carving a unique path through the land. The river does not avoid obstacles. It meets them, flows around them, and continues its journey. In this way, it becomes a symbol of flexibility, a reminder that life is not about avoiding challenges but about moving through them, allowing each experience to shape and refine us. When we embrace change, we become like the river, learning to flow with the current of life rather than resisting it. The fear of change is often a reflection of our attachment to the familiar. We hold on to routines, habits, and beliefs that provide a sense of stability, even when they limit us. These attachments create a resistance to change, a reluctance to step into the unknown. However, true stability does not come from holding on to fixed forms. It comes from cultivating an inner resilience, a trust that we can navigate whatever arises. In the Rosicrucian tradition, this inner resilience is called the immovable center, the core of our being that remains steady, even as the outer world shifts. To embrace change, we must release the illusion that safety lies in stasis. Change is the essence of life, and in resisting it, we resist life itself. When we open ourselves to change, we begin to see each experience, each challenge, as an opportunity to expand our understanding and deepen our connection to ourselves. Instead of asking, "How can I stay safe?" we begin to ask, "How can I grow?" This shift in perspective transforms change from a source of fear into a source of freedom, empowering us to explore new horizons with curiosity and courage. Reflect on a time in your life when change brought unexpected growth, a time when a new experience or challenge expanded your understanding of yourself or the world. Perhaps it was an unplanned shift in direction, a relationship that brought new insights, or an opportunity that challenged you to step beyond your comfort zone. These moments remind us that change, while often uncomfortable, is also a gift, a doorway to parts of ourselves that we may not have known existed. The alchemists knew that transformation requires both heat and surrender. It is a process of allowing the familiar to dissolve, trusting that something new and more aligned with our true self will emerge. When we welcome change, we engage in this alchemical process, releasing old patterns and making space for new possibilities. By embracing change, we invite growth, becoming ever more aligned with the essence of who we are. In choosing to live with a mindset open to change, we free ourselves from the limits of avoidance. We begin to see each challenge as an opportunity, each uncertainty as a doorway to deeper resilience and understanding. This openness to change does not mean we will never feel fear. Rather, it means that we can walk forward despite it, trusting in our ability to adapt, to learn, and to thrive. Part 2. Breaking free from fear of vulnerability and connection. As we step deeper into the journey of transformation, we encounter fears that go beyond the avoidance of challenges and the resistance to change. These are the fears rooted in our relationships, in our connections with others, and ultimately, with ourselves. Among the most subtle and pervasive of these is the fear of vulnerability, the apprehension we feel at the thought of being truly seen, known, and understood by others. This fear, though often silent, creates walls around our hearts, barriers that keep us isolated, even when we long for connection. True personal power requires openness. It demands that we be willing to embrace both our strengths and our imperfections, to let go of the need for control and allow others to witness our authentic selves. In this part of the journey, we will explore the fear of vulnerability and how it prevents us from forming meaningful, fulfilling connections. Each chapter will reveal how this fear keeps us guarded, and how, by releasing it, we can experience a deeper sense of self and a more genuine connection with others. Chapter 1. The Pain of Isolation and Emotional Guarding. The fear of vulnerability often arises quietly, almost imperceptibly, shaping our interactions and influencing our choices. This fear convinces us that showing our true selves is risky, that openness invites judgment, rejection, or betrayal. And so, we create emotional armor, walls of guardedness, small ways of protecting our hearts from the possibility of pain. Yet, in doing so, we also close ourselves off from the richness of authentic connection, the warmth that comes from being truly seen and accepted. Imagine standing at the edge of a bridge that leads to connection, to intimacy, to a sense of belonging. On the other side are the relationships you seek, the deep connections that nourish the soul. Yet, as you prepare to cross, fear arises, whispering that the journey is too risky, that the act of crossing, of allowing others to see your true self, might lead to rejection or misunderstanding. This is the nature of emotional guarding, the hesitation to fully open ourselves, the retreat into the safety of isolation, even when our hearts yearn for connection. This guarding often manifests in small, subtle ways. Perhaps we avoid sharing our true feelings, fearing that others will not understand. Or we keep conversations shallow, steering away from topics that reveal our inner world. Over time, these habits of self-protection create a barrier that isolates us, leaving us feeling distant, unseen, and, at times, profoundly alone. The irony is that the very act of protecting ourselves from vulnerability is what perpetuates the pain of isolation. Consider the moments in your life when you have held back from sharing your authentic self. How often have you silenced your voice, hidden your feelings, or kept your true thoughts to yourself? These moments of hesitation are not signs of weakness but reminders of the fear that lurks beneath: fear of being misunderstood, fear of being hurt, fear of being fully known. And yet, these moments also remind us of our deeper longing for connection, for the sense of closeness that only comes from embracing vulnerability. The ancient sages taught that vulnerability is not a weakness but a profound source of strength. They understood that to open one's heart, to risk being seen, is an act of courage, a step into the unknown where true intimacy and self-acceptance are found. In Rosicrucian teachings, there is a principle known as the open heart. This principle teaches that only by opening our hearts, by allowing ourselves to be seen, do we discover the strength that lies within. It is in vulnerability that we find resilience, in openness that we find freedom. When we guard our emotions, we restrict our own growth. Each wall we build, each layer of protection, keeps us from experiencing the full spectrum of life, from the joy of connection to the depth of self-discovery. True liberation lies not in isolation but in the willingness to share ourselves with others, to let go of the need for control and trust in the process of connection. For when we open ourselves to others, we open ourselves to the richness of life, the beauty of human experience that can only be fully felt when we are willing to be vulnerable. In the chapters that follow, we will delve into the roots of this fear of vulnerability, understanding where it comes from and how it has shaped our interactions. For only by bringing this fear into the light can we begin to release it, creating space for a deeper, more authentic connection with ourselves and with others. Chapter 2: The Roots of Emotional Guarding and Disconnection. To understand the fear of vulnerability, we must journey inward, uncovering the experiences, beliefs, and patterns that have led us to guard our hearts. This fear often arises from wounds of the past, moments when openness was met with rejection, trust was betrayed, or authenticity was misunderstood. These experiences leave imprints on the soul, creating a perception that vulnerability is dangerous, that to show our true selves is to invite pain. In response, the mind begins to build walls, subtle yet persistent defenses that protect us from the possibility of hurt. Over time, these walls become so familiar, so woven into our perception, that we forget they are there. We move through life keeping others at a distance, convinced that safety lies in isolation. But this isolation comes at a cost, for while it shields us from potential pain, it also keeps us from the healing power of genuine connection. Consider how many of our fears about vulnerability stem not from present realities, but from past experiences that taught us to be cautious, even guarded, with our hearts. Perhaps there was a time when we shared something deeply personal, only to be met with dismissal or misunderstanding. Or perhaps a trusted bond was broken, leaving us wary of exposing our inner world again. These memories become shadows that linger in the background, quietly shaping our interactions, reinforcing the belief that vulnerability is risky, even dangerous. The Rosicrucian teachings speak of the open heart as a path to true strength. They understood that each moment of guardedness creates a division within us, a split between the self we show to the world and the self we keep hidden. This division limits us, for it is only when we are whole, when we embrace both our light and our shadow, that we experience true freedom. The guarded heart, on the other hand, becomes a prison, a place where the fear of vulnerability keeps us isolated and disconnected. In guarding our hearts, we lose touch with the natural flow of human connection. We may seek relationships, friendships, and community, yet find ourselves unable to fully engage, to experience the closeness and warmth that true connection offers. This guardedness can manifest as a reluctance to share our feelings, an avoidance of deeper conversations, or a tendency to keep relationships at a surface level. We tell ourselves that we are protecting ourselves, yet in truth, we are simply reinforcing the walls that keep us from experiencing the richness of human connection. Imagine the impact of living a life where connection is always limited, where each interaction is held back by a quiet fear of being truly seen. This guardedness becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, as the very act of holding back invites distance, a subtle yet persistent disconnection that leaves us feeling unseen, unknown, and, at times, profoundly alone. The walls we build to keep pain out also keep love, compassion, and understanding at bay. The roots of emotional guarding often lie in our desire for control. To be vulnerable is to surrender control, to allow others to see the parts of ourselves that we may not fully accept. This fear of loss of control is a form of self-protection, a way of maintaining an image of strength and resilience. Yet, in clinging to this control, we deny ourselves the healing power of openness, the strength that arises from being authentically human, imperfect yet whole. Ancient wisdom traditions teach that vulnerability is not a weakness but a path to empowerment. The Rosicrucians, in particular, saw the heart as a sacred center, a place where true strength is cultivated through openness and trust. They understood that the heart, when closed, is a place of limitation, a space of isolation. But when opened, it becomes a wellspring of resilience, a source of inner light that radiates outward, creating bonds of trust and understanding with others. To open our hearts, we must first recognize the walls we have built and the experiences that led us to create them. This does not mean reliving the past, but rather, understanding how it continues to shape our present. By bringing these memories into the light, we begin to release their hold, creating space for a new way of being, one that is rooted not in fear but in authenticity and self-acceptance. In the next chapter, we will explore how embracing vulnerability as a source of strength can transform our relationships, allowing us to cultivate connections that are deep, genuine, and nourishing. For it is only when we allow ourselves to be seen that we can truly see others, creating a life of connection, compassion, and inner freedom. Chapter 3: Practicing Heart-Centered Connection. To overcome the fear of vulnerability, we must learn to see openness as a path to inner strength rather than a doorway to potential hurt. Heart-centered connection, connecting with others through the authentic, unguarded self, requires courage, for it asks us to step forward without armor, to share both our light and our shadow. This openness allows us to connect on a level that transcends superficial interaction, creating bonds that are genuine, supportive, and deeply fulfilling. Imagine, for a moment, that your heart is like a garden. Over time, this garden has grown thick with protective walls, built to keep out the elements that may harm it. Yet these walls also keep out the nourishing light, the gentle rain, the presence of others who might wish to share in its beauty. Heart-centered connection invites us to lower these walls, to cultivate our inner garden by allowing in both sunlight and storms, trusting that the strength of our roots, our authentic self, can withstand and grow through each experience. The Rosicrucians understood the heart as a sacred, resilient center, a place that holds the essence of our true self. They believed that the heart, when open, emanates a radiant energy that draws others in, creating a web of connection that is mutually uplifting and empowering. In Rosicrucian teachings, vulnerability is seen not as an exposure to harm but as an act of generosity, a willingness to share the fullness of who we are. This sharing, they taught, is what brings about true companionship and understanding, for when we show our true selves, we invite others to do the same. To practice heart-centered connection is to embody this spirit of openness. It means allowing ourselves to be seen, to share our thoughts, feelings, and experiences without the need for pretense or perfection. This does not mean sharing everything indiscriminately or without boundaries, but rather, choosing to engage with authenticity in the moments that call for it. In doing so, we give ourselves permission to be human, to embrace both our strengths and vulnerabilities, and to trust that we are enough as we are. Consider the times when you have felt most connected to others, moments when conversations flowed easily, when you felt truly seen and heard. These moments often arise not from polished, carefully curated exchanges but from honest, spontaneous expressions of self. Perhaps it was a moment of laughter, an admission of uncertainty, or a shared experience that revealed a glimpse of your authentic self. These are the moments that build the foundation of heart-centered connection, for they are grounded in truth, in a willingness to be present as we are. Heart-centered connection also requires a gentle letting go of judgment, both of ourselves and of others. When we judge ourselves, we create a barrier within, a resistance to being fully open. We may feel that we are too much, or not enough, and so we hold back, editing our words, suppressing our emotions, and limiting our expression. But true connection arises when we release these judgments, when we approach each interaction with curiosity and compassion, allowing each person, including ourselves, to simply be. To connect through the heart is to offer both presence and acceptance, a recognition that every person carries a unique blend of strengths and struggles, joys and fears. This acceptance, this choice to see and be seen, is what dissolves the walls of isolation. As we open our hearts to others, we find that vulnerability is not a point of weakness but a bridge, a path that unites us in our shared humanity. In choosing to live with an open heart, we begin to experience a new level of resilience. We discover that even when vulnerability brings discomfort or misunderstanding, it also brings growth and strength. Each moment of heart-centered connection strengthens our capacity to live authentically, to meet each person, each experience, with an open and willing spirit. This practice becomes a way of life, a journey that deepens with each choice to connect rather than withdraw, to embrace rather than guard. As we step into heart-centered connection, we begin to experience relationships that are more nourishing, more genuine. We find ourselves surrounded by individuals who see us, accept us, and support us, not because we have hidden our vulnerabilities, but because we have shared them. This is the gift of openness, the freedom to live without pretense, to engage with others in a way that brings mutual understanding, trust, and joy. Part 3. Building trust in the self and embracing inner potential. As we move further along this journey of transformation, we reach a place where external fears give way to an even more profound, internal form of resistance, the hesitation to trust in ourselves. Self-trust is the foundation upon which we build all confidence, resilience, and inner strength. Without it, even the most sincere ambitions and dreams may falter, overshadowed by second-guessing, self-sabotage, and the quiet fear of not being enough. In this part of the journey, we will explore the nature of self-trust, uncover the roots of self-doubt, and discover the power that arises when we learn to believe in ourselves fully. Each chapter will delve into different aspects of self-trust, guiding us from the pain of hesitation and doubt toward a place of inner certainty and empowerment. Chapter 1. The Pain of Self-Sabotage and Hesitation. Self-sabotage is an invisible force, one that quietly intervenes whenever we dare to step toward our dreams or explore our potential. It appears in the form of hesitation, overthinking, and a tendency to undermine our own efforts. This resistance is not a failure of willpower or ambition. Rather, it is the result of an internal conflict, a part of us that remains unconvinced of our own capability, that fears the consequences of stepping beyond the familiar boundaries of safety. Imagine, if you will, standing at the edge of a path that leads to a life of purpose and fulfillment. This path beckons, yet each step forward feels weighed down by hesitation, a pull to retreat, to stay where it feels safe. This is the essence of self-sabotage, a whisper that convinces us to slow down, to reconsider, to wait until we feel ready. And so, instead of moving forward, we find ourselves caught in a loop of inaction, held back by a mind filled with what-ifs and not-yets. Self-sabotage often disguises itself as practicality. We tell ourselves we are being cautious or waiting for the right moment. Yet beneath these justifications lies a quiet, persistent fear of failure, a reluctance to trust in our ability to navigate the unknown. This fear convinces us that we are not prepared, not skilled enough, or that we lack what is needed to succeed. And so, rather than risk potential disappointment, we avoid action, content to linger in a place where the risk of failure seems less threatening. Consider the times in your life when you have hesitated to pursue a goal, the moments when you talked yourself out of an opportunity or backed away from a challenge. How many dreams have been deferred by this quiet voice of doubt? How many possibilities left unexplored? These moments are not simply missed chances. They are reflections of an inner uncertainty, a hesitation to believe fully in one's own potential. The Hermetic tradition speaks of inner authority as the power to direct one's own path, a state of self-mastery that arises from deep trust in the self. This inner authority is not an outward display of confidence but a quiet, steady certainty that guides us from within. When we trust ourselves, we become anchored, grounded in the knowledge that we have the wisdom, strength, and resilience to face whatever arises. But when self-trust is lacking, we look to external sources for reassurance, relying on others to validate our worth, our choices, and our goals. Self-sabotage and hesitation are signs that our inner authority has been overshadowed by doubt. Each moment of indecision, each instance of overthinking, reveals a disconnect between the self we know and the self we wish to become. It is a conflict between the part of us that desires growth and the part that fears the unknown, between the soul's yearning for expansion and the mind's desire for safety. Imagine living a life where hesitation does not rule your actions, where each choice is made not from fear but from a place of inner conviction. This is the gift of self-trust, a strength that arises when we believe in ourselves unconditionally, when we no longer seek permission to pursue our dreams. Self-trust frees us from the cycle of self-sabotage, allowing us to approach life with a sense of calm assurance, a confidence that transcends external validation. In the chapters that follow, we will delve into the roots of this hesitation, exploring where self-doubt takes hold and how we can begin to rebuild our inner authority. For true freedom lies not in the absence of fear but in the presence of trust, trust in ourselves, in our ability to navigate the unknown, and in the resilience that lies within. Chapter 2. The underlying causes of self-sabotage. To dismantle the patterns of hesitation and self-sabotage, we must journey into the depths of our inner world, uncovering the hidden beliefs and fears that give rise to these behaviors. Self-sabotage is not simply a matter of reluctance or lack of will. It is the product of deeply rooted uncertainties, often formed in moments of vulnerability and reinforced by experiences that have led us to question our own worth, abilities, and resilience. At its core, self-sabotage is a protective mechanism. It is the mind's way of keeping us safe, of shielding us from potential disappointment, rejection, or failure. Yet, like a protective cloak worn too long, this habit begins to weigh us down, creating boundaries where we long to feel expansive. Each act of self-sabotage is a whisper of doubt, a quiet reminder that part of us fears we are not enough, that we might fall short, that our efforts may not yield the success we desire. This fear, when left unexamined, becomes a silent barrier, holding us back from exploring our true potential. One of the root causes of self-sabotage is the need for certainty. The mind craves predictability, a sense of control that assures us we are on a safe and known path. Yet the journey of growth, of stepping into our fullest potential, is anything but predictable. Each step forward invites the unknown, the unfamiliar, and the possibility of encountering both success and failure. In the face of this uncertainty, self-sabotage becomes a way to remain within the comfort of the familiar, a way to avoid the risks inherent in genuine growth. Consider how often this need for certainty has shaped your choices. How many times have you hesitated, delayed, or taken a step back, simply because the outcome was unclear? This need for control, for assurance, is a remnant of the mind's desire to shield us from discomfort. Yet in doing so, it keeps us bound to a cycle of hesitation, preventing us from experiencing the freedom and empowerment that come from embracing uncertainty. The Hermetic teachings emphasize the concept of inner authority, the quiet, steady guidance that arises when we learn to trust our own wisdom and intuition. When we lack this inner authority, we seek validation outside ourselves, waiting for others to affirm our choices or reassure us of our worth. This reliance on external validation weakens our connection to our inner voice, leaving us susceptible to self-doubt and self-sabotage. Each time we look outside ourselves for assurance, we reinforce the belief that we are not enough as we are, that our inner compass is insufficient to guide us. Perfectionism is another shadow that feeds self-sabotage. Beneath the desire to achieve flawlessly lies a fear of vulnerability, a fear that imperfection might reveal our perceived inadequacies. Perfectionism creates a barrier that stops us from even attempting something if we cannot do it perfectly, keeping us locked in a cycle of preparation, avoidance, and inaction. This attachment to perfection becomes a form of paralysis, a subtle but powerful force that convinces us that it is better to do nothing than to risk doing something imperfectly. Imagine the freedom that might come from releasing this need for perfection, from allowing yourself to take imperfect action, to learn and grow without fear of judgment. This is the essence of self-trust, to believe in our own worth, independent of outcome or approval. Self-trust does not mean that we will never encounter fear or doubt. It means that we have cultivated a relationship with ourselves that can withstand the challenges of growth, that can navigate uncertainty with resilience and grace. As we uncover these roots of self-sabotage, we begin to see that they are not flaws or weaknesses but remnants of past conditioning, echoes of experiences that taught us to be cautious, even fearful. They are reflections of the mind's desire to protect us, even if that protection has become a limitation. By understanding these causes, we gain the power to release them, to create space for a new way of being, one that is guided by trust, resilience, and a willingness to embrace life fully. In the next chapter, we will explore how to cultivate this inner trust, building a foundation of self-assurance that frees us from the grip of self-sabotage. For true growth lies not in eliminating fear but in strengthening our capacity to move through it, to act with conviction even when the path is unclear. Chapter 3: Strengthening Inner Authority. As we move beyond the roots of self-sabotage and self-doubt, we arrive at the transformative power of inner authority. Inner authority is the quiet, steady sense of knowing that arises from within, a self-assured guidance that empowers us to navigate life without relying on external validation or the need for perfection. This inner trust becomes a compass, a foundation upon which we can make decisions, pursue dreams, and overcome obstacles with resilience and grace. Imagine standing on a vast mountain peak, surrounded by an endless horizon. This is the view of inner authority, a clear, expansive perspective that sees beyond fear, beyond the need for certainty, to a place of self-trust. From this vantage point, decisions are not driven by the desire to avoid failure or secure approval, but by a deeper alignment with one's true self. Inner authority is the voice that says, "I am enough as I am, and I am capable of meeting whatever comes my way." It is this voice that gives us the strength to act with conviction, even when the path ahead is unclear. Strengthening inner authority requires us to cultivate a relationship with ourselves that is rooted in trust and acceptance. It means recognizing that we are more than our successes, more than our failures, and more than the judgments of others. When we look to others to validate our choices, we surrender a piece of our own power, placing our sense of worth in the hands of others. But when we draw our strength from within, we become self-directed, guided by a deeper understanding of who we are and what we are capable of achieving. Consider the freedom that might arise from no longer needing others to affirm your worth or validate your choices. When we are guided by inner authority, we are less affected by the opinions and judgments of those around us. Criticism no longer stings as deeply, and praise no longer feels essential. We become steady, grounded, able to pursue our dreams and goals without hesitation or self-sabotage. This inner steadiness, this sense of alignment, allows us to approach life with courage and resilience, regardless of the outcome. The Hermetic teachings speak of inner authority as a pillar within, a core of strength that is immovable, unshaken by external circumstances. This inner pillar is not built in a day. It is cultivated over time, strengthened with each act of self-trust, each choice to honor one's inner guidance over the pull of doubt or hesitation. To cultivate inner authority is to choose, moment by moment, to trust in one's own wisdom and capabilities, to act with integrity even when others may not understand or approve. Imagine each decision you make as a stone, laid carefully to build this inner pillar. Each time you listen to your intuition, each time you act in alignment with your true self, you are adding to this structure, creating a foundation that will support you through both triumphs and challenges. This foundation, built from the inside out, becomes a source of resilience, a wellspring of inner strength that remains steady even when the external world is uncertain. Strengthening inner authority also requires a willingness to release the need for perfection. Perfectionism is a subtle form of self-doubt, a belief that we are not enough as we are, that we must prove ourselves through flawless achievement. But true inner authority is not concerned with perfection. It is concerned with authenticity, with aligning one's actions with one's inner truth. When we let go of perfection, we free ourselves to take imperfect action, to learn and grow without the fear of falling short. This freedom is the essence of self-trust, a confidence that does not waver with each misstep but instead grows with each experience. As you begin to strengthen your inner authority, you may notice that decisions feel clearer, that hesitation lessens, and that self-sabotage loses its hold. You may find yourself more willing to take risks, to pursue dreams that once felt intimidating, simply because you trust that you are capable of navigating whatever arises. Inner authority transforms the way we approach life, shifting our focus from external validation to inner alignment, from fear of failure to trust in our own resilience. This journey of strengthening inner authority is not about eliminating doubt but about learning to move forward in spite of it. It is about becoming the source of your own assurance, the creator of your own sense of worth. When you build this foundation within, you carry a quiet strength, a knowing that no external circumstance can take away. This is the essence of self-mastery, to be guided by your own inner light, unafraid, undeterred, and deeply aligned with your true self. Part 4. Embracing Resilience and Cultivating Fearlessness. As we near the culmination of this journey, we arrive at a place where inner strength and self-trust transform into resilience, a capacity to face life's challenges, uncertainties, and changes without fear's grip. Resilience is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to meet those difficulties with calm, courage, and unwavering trust in oneself. True fearlessness arises not from bravado but from this quiet, steady resilience that allows us to approach each moment, each challenge, with a sense of peace and inner mastery. In this final part of the journey, we will explore what it means to live a life unbound by fear, to embody resilience in a way that transcends individual challenges and becomes a guiding force. Each chapter will delve into a different aspect of cultivating fearlessness, helping us to release fear-based thinking and embrace a life of freedom, boldness, and unshakable trust in the flow of existence. Chapter 1. The Pain of Chronic Worry and Overthinking. Worry is a familiar companion, a mental habit that often feels as though it serves a purpose. It offers the illusion of control, convincing us that by endlessly analyzing or preparing for every possible outcome, we can somehow protect ourselves from disappointment or failure. Yet chronic worry is a thief, a subtle yet persistent force that drains our energy, saps our confidence, and keeps us in a state of mental turbulence. It is a silent prison, one that binds us to fear even when there is no immediate threat. Imagine, if you will, a bird with powerful wings that has forgotten how to fly. It stands in a cage of its own making, constantly fluttering its wings, peering through the bars, but never taking flight. This is the nature of chronic worry, a cycle of mental energy expended in the same place, a pattern of thoughts that convinces us we are taking action when, in reality, we remain stagnant. Worry, at its core, is a form of overthinking, an attempt to anticipate and control every aspect of our future, born from a deep-seated fear of the unknown. Overthinking can manifest as analysis paralysis, a state in which we are so consumed by potential outcomes that we struggle to make even the smallest decisions. We second-guess our choices, fearing that one misstep might lead to disaster. This fear creates a loop of indecision, a reluctance to take action lest we make the wrong choice. In our efforts to avoid mistakes, we trap ourselves in inaction, sacrificing growth for the comfort of familiarity. Consider the times in your life when worry has held you back, the days or even years spent analyzing choices instead of taking decisive action. How often has this habit left you feeling drained, anxious, or stuck? These are not isolated moments of uncertainty. They are reflections of a pattern that convinces us we must be certain of every step before moving forward. This pattern keeps us tethered to fear, reinforcing the belief that safety lies in control, that freedom is only possible when every outcome is known. The Gnostic teachings speak of cosmic trust, a profound acceptance of the unknown, a willingness to let go of control and trust in the flow of life itself. They remind us that true freedom is found not in anticipating every outcome but in cultivating a resilience that allows us to face each outcome, each challenge, with openness and strength. Cosmic trust teaches us that we are not isolated beings. We are connected to a greater whole, a universe that unfolds in perfect order, even when that order is beyond our immediate understanding. To release chronic worry, we must begin to trust in this greater flow, to accept that life's unpredictability is not a threat but an invitation to grow. This does not mean abandoning caution or care. Rather, it means learning to differentiate between genuine preparation and the cycle of overthinking that keeps us stagnant. True resilience is the ability to act with courage in the face of uncertainty, to approach each decision with clarity and trust in oneself. Imagine a life free from chronic worry, a life where each moment is met with calm rather than anxiety, where decisions are made with confidence rather than fear. This is the life of resilience, a life that embraces the unknown with the assurance that whatever arises, we have the strength to navigate it. To cultivate this resilience, we must let go of the need to control every outcome and instead, anchor ourselves in the belief that we are capable of facing whatever comes. In the chapters that follow, we will explore how to transform fear-based thinking, cultivating a mindset that embraces resilience and fearlessness. For fearlessness is not the absence of fear but the presence of a steady, grounded self-assurance, a trust that transcends worry and welcomes life's unfolding with open arms. Chapter 2. The Roots of Fear-Based Thinking. To transcend chronic worry and overthinking, we must first understand the root of fear-based thinking, the impulse to anticipate, control, and guard against every possible outcome. Fear-based thinking is woven into the human experience, an ancient survival mechanism designed to keep us safe. Yet, in modern life, this instinct often becomes entangled with our everyday thoughts, creating a constant undercurrent of anxiety that shapes our actions and limits our potential. Fear-based thinking arises from a desire for control, a need to predict the future to feel secure. At its core, it is an expression of the mind's reluctance to accept the unknown. The human mind, conditioned by experiences, societal expectations, and personal beliefs, seeks to impose order on a world that is inherently unpredictable. This impulse to control creates a pattern of anticipating worst-case scenarios, endlessly analyzing choices, and fearing the unknown. In Gnostic thought, fear-based thinking is seen as a veil, a layer of perception that obscures the truth of who we are. It is a distraction, a mental fog that keeps us from recognizing our inherent resilience and capacity to navigate life's challenges. According to Gnostic teachings, this veil of fear is part of the ego's strategy to maintain control, to create a world where every outcome is accounted for, every risk mitigated. Yet, as we peer through this veil, we come to understand that fear-based thinking is an illusion, a construct of the mind that keeps us from experiencing the freedom of true presence and inner peace. Imagine, for a moment, a landscape shrouded in mist. This mist is like fear-based thinking. It distorts our perception, making each step forward appear fraught with unseen dangers. As we stand on the edge of this landscape, we feel compelled to hesitate, to consider each step carefully, fearful of what might lie beyond our vision. Yet, as the mist begins to lift, we see the path clearly, recognizing that many of the fears we imagined were never truly there. The lifting of this mist symbolizes the dissolution of fear-based thinking, the realization that most of the fears we harbor are projections of the mind, not realities of the world. One of the key drivers of fear-based thinking is the fear of failure. This fear convinces us that any misstep, any perceived imperfection, might lead to irrevocable consequences. We become paralyzed by the thought of making mistakes, convinced that failure is an endpoint rather than a learning experience. This belief, often rooted in past experiences or societal conditioning, keeps us from taking risks, from exploring new paths, and from trusting in our own resilience. Each moment of hesitation, each instance of overthinking, reinforces the belief that we are fragile, that failure is a reflection of our worth. Another source of fear-based thinking is the fear of loss, whether it be the loss of stability, relationships, or even personal identity. This fear creates a reluctance to embrace change, a preference for the familiar over the unknown. We cling to what we know, even if it no longer serves us, because the thought of stepping into something unfamiliar feels like a risk we are not prepared to take. This fear of loss reinforces a sense of scarcity, convincing us that life's blessings are finite, that any change might disrupt the delicate balance we strive to maintain. In ancient wisdom traditions, there is a concept known as cosmic trust, a profound acceptance of the flow of life, an understanding that we are part of a greater whole that unfolds in perfect harmony, even when it is beyond our immediate comprehension. Cosmic trust teaches us that the unknown is not an enemy, but a realm of possibility, a space where we are invited to grow and evolve. When we cultivate this trust, we release the need to control every outcome, understanding that life's challenges are not threats but opportunities to discover our inner strength. To transform fear-based thinking, we must begin to see it as an illusion, a habit of the mind that arises from a place of self-protection. This does not mean dismissing all caution. Rather, it means recognizing when caution turns into paralysis, when healthy awareness turns into chronic worry. By understanding that fear-based thinking is a product of the mind, we gain the power to release it, to see beyond the mist and trust in our own ability to navigate whatever lies ahead. Imagine a life where each decision is made not from a place of fear, but from a place of trust. A life where challenges are not sources of anxiety but opportunities for growth. This is the life of resilience, a life where fear-based thinking is replaced by a calm, steady confidence, a belief in oneself and in the greater flow of life. This life is available to each of us, but it requires a willingness to release the need for control, to embrace uncertainty, and to cultivate an inner trust that guides us forward. In the next chapter, we will explore how to build this cosmic trust, learning to let go of fear-based thinking and embrace a mindset of resilience and fearlessness. For true freedom lies not in controlling every outcome, but in trusting our capacity to meet each moment with grace, courage, and unwavering confidence in ourselves. Chapter 3. Cultivating Cosmic Trust and Fearless Living. As we reach the final stage of this journey, we are invited to embrace a life rooted in cosmic trust, a profound sense of faith in the natural flow of existence and in our own inner resilience. Cosmic trust allows us to live beyond fear, to release the need for constant control, and to step into each moment with an open heart and an unshaken spirit. It is the ultimate liberation from fear-based thinking, a pathway to fearless living that aligns us with the deeper rhythms of life itself. To live with cosmic trust is to believe in the harmony of the universe, to understand that life's challenges are not random obstacles but opportunities for growth, transformation, and self-discovery. In this state of trust, we no longer see life as something to be controlled but as a journey to be embraced. Cosmic trust is the quiet confidence that arises when we recognize that, regardless of the circumstances, we are capable of navigating whatever life presents. This trust is not blind faith. It is an active, lived experience that deepens with each moment we choose to let go of fear and allow life to unfold. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, watching the waves rise and fall, each wave unique, yet part of a greater, continuous flow. This ocean represents life, a constant movement of energy and experience that invites us to dive in, to ride the waves without fear. When we resist this flow, trying to hold on to one moment, one state, or one certainty, we find ourselves struggling against the current. But when we embrace cosmic trust, we become like a swimmer who moves with the water, allowing it to carry us, understanding that each wave, each experience, is part of a larger rhythm that we may not always understand but can always trust. Cultivating cosmic trust begins with releasing the illusion that we must control every aspect of our lives. This release is not about surrendering our goals or abandoning responsibility. Rather, it is about letting go of the need to predict or force outcomes. It is an invitation to move from a place of openness, where we allow each moment to unfold and trust in our ability to respond with resilience and grace. This shift frees us from the anxiety of constant preparation, enabling us to live fully in the present, where life's true richness is found. In Gnostic and Hermetic teachings, there is an understanding that we are part of a greater unity, an interconnected web of existence. This unity means that we are not isolated beings navigating an indifferent world. We are intrinsically connected to the flow of creation itself. When we cultivate cosmic trust, we align ourselves with this unity, recognizing that life's challenges are not disruptions but aspects of a larger journey, each moment offering us a chance to deepen our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. Consider the freedom that might arise from embracing this sense of trust. Without fear of the unknown, without the need for constant control, life becomes an open landscape, a place of endless possibility. When we release fear-based thinking, we stop viewing the world through the lens of potential threats and start seeing it as a realm of discovery, a space where each experience, each person, and each choice is an opportunity to grow, to love, and to connect. To live fearlessly is not to banish fear entirely. It is to move forward even when fear arises, to trust that we are capable of handling whatever we encounter. This trust creates a mindset of resilience, a quiet assurance that no setback, no challenge, can diminish our sense of self-worth or disrupt our inner peace. With cosmic trust, we find the strength to act not from a place of anxiety, but from a place of clarity, allowing our actions to flow naturally from our authentic self. Imagine approaching each day with this sense of cosmic trust, seeing each moment as an invitation to explore, to engage, to learn. Challenges may come, uncertainties may arise, but they no longer hold the power to shake us, for we know that we are anchored in a deeper truth. We are not here to live in fear but to experience the fullness of life, to embrace each aspect of our journey with courage and joy. As you step into this fearless way of living, you may find that life begins to open up in unexpected ways. Decisions feel lighter, relationships deepen, and each day carries a sense of freedom that comes from releasing the weight of worry. This is the gift of cosmic trust, the ability to walk through life with an open heart, unburdened by fear, and ready to embrace whatever comes with the quiet confidence that you are enough, that you are capable, and that you are always connected to the greater flow of life. Final integration exercise, embracing a life beyond fear. As you stand at the close of this journey, you hold within you a new understanding of what it means to live without the constraints of fear. You have explored the subtle barriers of doubt, the influence of external validation, the strength of inner authority, and the boundless freedom that cosmic trust can offer. Now, it is time to bring all these insights together, to integrate them as a cohesive foundation for a life of resilience, confidence, and authentic joy. This final exercise is designed to ground you in the transformation you have begun, helping you solidify the inner changes and align with the fearless, resilient self that has been quietly emerging throughout this journey. As you move through this exercise, remember that this is not an ending but a beginning. Fearlessness is not a destination. It is a practice, a choice that we make in each moment to live from a place of trust, strength, and inner alignment. The integration visualization, embodying your fearless self. Find a quiet space. Begin by finding a quiet, comfortable place where you can sit or lie down without distractions. Take a few deep breaths, allowing yourself to relax fully into this moment. With each breath, feel yourself letting go of any lingering tension, any residual doubt or hesitation, creating space for the experience ahead. Ground yourself in the present. As you continue to breathe deeply, bring your awareness to the present moment. Feel the steady rhythm of your breath, the weight of your body supported by the earth. Allow yourself to feel fully grounded, anchored in this moment, knowing that you are safe, capable, and ready to embrace the life that awaits you. Visualize your fearless self. Now, in your mind's eye, envision yourself as the most fearless, confident version of yourself, a self that is completely aligned, resilient, and free from the limitations of fear. Picture this version of you standing tall, radiating a quiet strength, a sense of peace and assurance that is both powerful and gentle. Imagine yourself moving through life with grace, responding to challenges with ease, making choices from a place of inner clarity and purpose. As you observe this fearless self, take note of the qualities you embody. Perhaps it is a calm sense of trust, an open heart, or a deep-seated confidence that flows from within. Allow yourself to feel the presence of these qualities, knowing that they are not separate from you. They are already part of you, waiting to be fully embraced. Release old patterns. As you stand in this vision of your fearless self, imagine that all the old patterns, doubts, and fears that once held you back are beginning to dissolve. Visualize them as shadows or mist, gently lifting and drifting away, leaving you with a sense of lightness and freedom. Feel yourself releasing any lingering need for control, any attachment to external validation, any habits of overthinking or hesitation. Let them go, knowing that they no longer serve you. Anchor yourself in inner authority and cosmic trust. Now, bring your focus to your core, the center of your being, where your inner authority resides. Feel the strength of this inner pillar, a source of unwavering confidence and self-trust that anchors you in every decision, every action. Allow this strength to flow through you, filling you with a quiet assurance that you are capable of facing whatever arises. As you connect with this inner authority, open yourself to the presence of cosmic trust. Imagine yourself as part of a vast, interconnected web of existence, a universe that flows in perfect harmony. Feel a deep sense of trust in this flow, a belief that you are supported by a greater whole, and that each experience, each challenge, is part of your unique journey. This trust frees you from the need for control, allowing you to live with openness and curiosity, embracing the unknown as a space of possibility. Embody your fearless self. Now, step fully into this vision of your fearless self. Feel yourself embodying this confidence, this trust, this resilience. Imagine yourself moving through each day with an open heart, unafraid to be seen, unafraid to take risks, unafraid to pursue your dreams. Picture yourself living from this place of inner alignment, allowing each moment to be guided not by fear but by a deep sense of purpose, strength, and joy. Let this vision settle within you, not as a distant goal, but as a living truth. Know that this fearless self is already within you, and that each choice you make from here on is an opportunity to live in alignment with this truth. Reflect and affirm. Take a few moments to reflect on what you have just experienced. Notice any shifts in your body, your mind, or your spirit. Feel the presence of this new way of being, this fearless self that you have embraced. When you are ready, affirm to yourself, I am resilient. I am capable. I am free from fear's hold. I trust myself and the flow of life. I am ready to live boldly and authentically. As you bring this exercise to a close, know that you can return to this practice whenever you wish, strengthening your connection to your fearless self. Fearlessness is a practice, a choice that you can make each day to trust, to grow, and to live with courage. Carry this vision of your fearless self with you, letting it guide your actions, your choices, and your path forward. Remember that each step you take, each choice you make, is an opportunity to live beyond fear. Life will continue to bring challenges and uncertainties, but you now have the tools to face them with resilience, trust, and inner strength. Embrace each experience as part of your journey, knowing that you have the power to live fully, to love deeply, and to create a life that is guided not by fear, but by the boundless potential that lies within you. Reflect now. How will you embody this fearless self in the days, months, and years to come? What dreams will you pursue? What relationships will you deepen? What possibilities will you explore, now that you are free from fear's hold? With each reflection, each step, you are creating a life of courage, authenticity, and joy. A life that is truly, unmistakably your own.